There is a story that is coming out where a Colorado abortionist sits down with the Atlantic and just kind of tells his side of the story. But we're not going to get into all of that because obviously this is a person who is so ingrained in darkness that really the only way out is to turn away completely, come to Christ, repent of all of the wickedness that they've engaged in. The murder of probably at this point thousands of lives because he's been in the game for 50 years. So just imagine how many lives he's taken. And he admits to the Atlantic, look at this, most late-term abortions he performs involve healthy babies and moms. Now, in our culture, we are seeing rhetoric and even attempts to change policy. And honestly, I don't know if the policy already exists in some areas where it's okay to murder the baby all the way up until the day before it's born, all the way up to the moment of birth. That human can be aborted on the whims of the mother, which is wicked, which is evil. So he even admits he's killed a baby girl simply because she was a girl. Could you imagine that? There's some screenshots from the conversation from the article that I want you to see. So Hearn is now nearing his 5th decade of practice at Boulder Clinic. And he specializes in late-term abortions. This means that Hearn ends the pregnancies of women who are 20, 25, and even 30 weeks along. Although 14 states now ban abortion in most or all circumstances, Colorado has no gestational limits on the procedure. Okay, so that just answered my question. Yes, there are states that will allow this all the way until the moment of birth because they say no gestational limits. So you could be 37 weeks, 38 weeks, 39 weeks. That's insane to me. That's so insane. Patients come to him from all over the country because he is one of only a handful of physicians who can and will perform abortions so late. So his morality compass is so broken that he is like the beacon of darkness for people who are just willing to engage in this type of evil. Hearn had told me about a woman who sought an abortion because she didn't want to have a baby girl. So this is what I mentioned earlier. I thought he had refused, but when I followed up to ask him why, Hearn said he had done abortions for sex selection twice. 2 lives taken just because they were not the right sex. So if a pregnant woman with no health issues comes to the clinic, say at 30 weeks, what would you do? I asked Hearn once. The question irked him. Of course, because shining light on demons is just, it makes them angry. Every pregnancy is a health issue. There's a certifiable risk of death from being pregnant. Period. Even though the process of birth and pregnancy is the most natural process that a woman goes through, other than like her menstruation, because there's a risk of death, we have to definitely kill the child because the mom wants to. It's a health issue to be pregnant. Gosh, that's just so evil. I can't even. There is more that this abortionist admits to. He says he had bad dreams in the 1970s. Physicians did not induce fetal demise during abortion, and once or twice during a procedure at 15 or 16 weeks, he used forceps to remove a fetus with a still beating heart. The heart thumped only for a few seconds before stopping, but for a long while after, a vision of that fetus would wake Hearn from his sleep. So at some point in his career, his conscience was warning him, screaming at him, I should say, that what he did was evil. It haunted him, but you can suppress your conscience. And so he did, and that's why he continued. He goes on to say in his dreams, he could see it in his mind, the inches-long body and its heart, beating, beating, beating. In one dream, Hearn angled his own body to shield his staff from catching a glimpse. Isn't that wicked? Isn't that insane? That in his dreams, he knows the truth. Wow, I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. All right, here we go on to see. But abortions that come after devastating medical diagnosis can be easier for some people to understand. But Hearn estimates, listen to this, that at least half and sometimes more of the women who come to the clinic, so not just in general, but that come to the clinic that he works in, do not have these diagnoses. He and his staff are just as sympathetic to other circumstances. So all this rhetoric that you will see in the pro-choice, pro-life debate that this is dangerous to women and that they reserve the right to health care, I put that in quotes because they're really talking about murdering their child. So where's the health care for the child? But it doesn't matter to this doctor, and it doesn't matter to a lot of the other doctors that are performing abortions around the country, because they're putting really, this is about money and possibly about their ideological darkness or the demons that are oppressing them, to want death and to want money over morality. So evil personified, and the medical establishment that engages in this level of wickedness. I did a video the other day talking about the Nuremberg Code and how the doctors today, and I'm not going to say all doctors, okay, you know that in the context of abortion and transgenderism, that's what I'm talking about. And the doctors that took the phrase "do no harm" and just threw it in the trash, burned it in the fire. That's who I'm talking about. So I talked about how they are violating the Nuremberg Code, specifically in that regard for transgenderism. But here it's happening too in the abortion industry.